Welcome to Psalm 52. God demolishes the deceitful. It begins, to the director. Again, we've had that in so many other Psalms. The telos. For the end, it could be, telos has numerous meanings depending on the context. And here I use director. For contemplation, to think about it, when you sing this, it's not to be something that's rote, something that you do over and over again. I was in a church years ago when I was a child, and they had what they call a liturgy. And the liturgy is something that you sing following a man that's a pastor, the leader, and he reads part of the liturgy and you do a response. And this goes on for 10 or 15 minutes. It's always pretty much the same every Sunday, except for certain parts of it which change during the year. It's hard to contemplate with that when you're just doing something rote over so many years, but it's not what we should be doing. We should be singing and contemplating the things that the words say. If you have songs that are or hymns that are ancient, and a lot of the words don't mean the same today, I don't see the point of singing those songs. They may be nice and they're old songs, hymns, but a lot of parts of it is hard to understand. I prefer personally the praise songs that are easy to sing, easy to remember, and you contemplate them during the week and sing them, and they're not difficult as far as the wording. It's a modern terminology, not something written 300 or 400 years ago in England or wherever, Germany. And it's also to David, or attributed to David, in the coming of Doeg, the Idumeon, the Edomite, and Anangeli, where they have the alpha and the gamma. Gamma has something to do with announced message, and angelos. Here, announcing to Saul, that was the king that was ruling before David, and telling to him that David went to the house of Abimelech. Abimelech was a priest. Here in 1 Samuel 21:7, we see the story of what it's talking about. And David comes to Nob, to Abimelech, the priest, and Abimelech is startled in the meeting David. David's running away from Saul. And he said to him, "Why is it that you are alone and no one is with you?" And David said to the priest, Ahimelech, "The king gave charge to me a thing today." Well, he didn't. He's lying. "And said to me, let no one know anything concerning the matter for which I send you." He's lying again, and this causes the death of this man. And Ahimelech causes his death for lying. "And for what I have given charge to you. And to the servants I testified in the place, and the one being called Philani Aloni," wherever that was. "And now, if there is in your hand 5 breads, put into my hand the thing being found," for their food, and running away. He's fleeing David. And the priest responded to David and said, "There are not profane breads in my hand, regular breads, but there are only breads, holy breads. If the servants have been kept from a woman, then they shall eat." And David answered to the priest and said to him, "Yes, even from a woman we have been at a distance from yesterday and the 3rd day before." Now, exactly how that has anything to do with the bread and eating it, I don't remember in the law, but somehow in the priesthood, this is a condition. "In my coming forth for the journey, all the servants have been purified to eat this holy bread. But this journey is profane, for today it shall be sanctified on account of my weapons." And Ahimelech the priest gave to him breads of the place setting, for there was not a bread there, but only breads of the presence, the ones being removed from out of the presence of the Lord. so as to place near the hot breads in which day he took them. And there was a certain one there of the bondmen of Saul in that day, being held before the Lord. And the name to him was Doeg, the Edomite, feeding the mules of Saul, herdsman. And David said to Ahimelech, see if there is here under your hand a spear or broadsword, for my broadsword and my weapons I have not taken in my hand, for the matter of the king was in haste. And the priest said, behold, the broadsword of Goliath, the Philistine whom you struck in the valley of Elah, and it is wrapped in a cloak behind the shoulder piece. If this you take for yourself, take, for there is not another beside it here. And David said, there is nothing, not anything as it, give it to me. And so he's given it, and then he leaves. And then, and later the king Saul said, to death Ahimelech should die, you and all your house, because he found out, it goes in here, that David had went there. And you and all the house. And the king said to the bodyguard standing by him, lead forward and put to death the priests of the Lord. For their hand is with David, for they knew that he fled, and they did not uncover my ear. And the servants of the king wanted not to bear their hands to encounter against the priests of the Lord. And the king said to Doeg, you turn and encounter the priests. And Doeg the Edomite turned and put to death the priests of the Lord in that day, 85 men, all bearing an ephod. So this is behind this psalm, this story, in telling to him that David went to the house of Ahimelech. And now it goes into verse 1. Why do you boast in evil, O mighty one? Now we have two groups of people in this psalm that the psalm addresses. The just one, or called the sacred ones, are the mighty one with lawlessness, a man who did not make God his helper. Why do you boast in evil, O mighty one, with lawlessness the entire day? People that are doing evil, they are there, they're with us. People think of nothing but evil things to do. Here, lawlessness against God, and today I suppose you could say the same thing. And there is evil and there is good in the world. Your tongue considers injustice, something that is not truthful. There being injustice. It's more of a legal term. And as sharpening a razor, you did treachery. You made it sharp, did it really well, cut something. It's a figure of speech. Treachery, that is doing something against a person behind their back to cause their destruction. You loved evil over goodness, and many people do. And the goodness of what God would want, they make fun of, and they love to do evil. Or injustice over speaking righteousness. Instead of telling the truth, they would prefer to be unjust. Now, why people are evil and bent this way, God only knows. But maybe we're all born in sin, I believe. The Bible teaches that. And because it says we're born in sin, and why people tend to go towards the evil side rather than the good, hard to explain. We have the devil is there definitely pushing us towards doing evil. And we have the world and all the problems of the world attacking us, and the flesh wanting to do things that we shouldn't be doing. And so then these people you loved all the drowning words, O deceitful tongue. all words that cause destruction, basically, drowning, death. You loved all these words, things that were deceitful, that could cause other people's problems. This probably goes on quite a bit in politics, as I see. There's all sorts of things going on, especially right now in the United States. We have half the country has bent towards one direction, and other half has another bent towards another political direction. And a lot of times people will say things that are deceitful so they can hurt the other side. And it goes both ways, I believe. On account of this, God shall demolish you unto the telos, unto the end. Here now, it's not the director, but the end. Now, at that first one, if it's end, it could be, I'm not sure. To pluck you out, and to migrate you from your tent, and your root from out of the land of the living. Rhizoma is rhizomasu. Rhizo has to do with the rhizome. It has to do with roots in gardening. And God shall demolish you unto the end, or for the end. Now, evil can be successful for a long time. Sometimes all person's life, they're doing evil. But then eventually, the evil will come to an end, but goodness will not. Evil will end up in Hades, and Hades, I believe it says that it will be thrown into the lake of fire. And the end, now exactly if there's actually an end to Hades or not, I'm not sure. But some people believe that there is. And God shall demolish you until the end, and pluck you out, and to migrate you from your tent, from your living, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, and your root from out of the land of the living, and more or less the root of your influence on your children or grandchildren or so forth will also be taken away. The just ones, now we change over to the sacred ones. The just ones are the righteous ones. That's another word, English word, righteous, for just. Shall see, another legal term. And shall fear, because we're dealing with the law of Moses here. These people are, and David is writing about. The just one shall see and shall fear. We fear God, and we believe in him, and we do what he says, because we do have a righteous fear of God, what he's capable of doing. And Jesus said that not to fear what man can do, but fear what the one that can send you to Gehenna can do. And shall laugh at him and shall say, behold, the man who did not, they're laughing at the unjust one, behold, the man who did not make God his helper, but raised hope upon the multitude of his riches, and was empowered by his folly. Now, I know people that have not made God their helper, and so they're missing a big thing. You or I are missing if we don't take advantage of God being our helper, because it makes it more difficult when you have to do it by yourself. If you're trying to do some heavy lifting, and it's very, very difficult, and somebody comes by and helps, two people can lift it easily. So God is more than just anybody coming by. He is God, and he can change everything in our life. So we need to make God our helper. And but he raised hope upon the multitude of his riches. So that's the man who did not do that. He's relying upon his riches. And empowered by his folly. Now, riches, yeah, you can have a lot of riches, and some people can get by with doing a lot of evil things in almost their whole life. But most of the cases, you can't. Riches are going to fail. Many people have lost their money in stocks, stock market crash, or being robbed or cheated, or in a revolution, changing of the money. And I believe in the future, cash will be taken away from us today, and it will be turned into electronic currency, and we will possibly, anybody that has cash hidden will have to turn it in because nobody will be using it anymore. And if you have a lot of cash, then the government is going to want to know where you got it. If you only had, a small amount, then no, that wouldn't probably be a problem. But if you had a lot, then it would be a problem. It could be taken away if you couldn't prove where you got it, because they could say you stole it or got it improperly of some sort. And he was empowered by his folly. And so the folly is something that you follow after that is not true. It's not something that really is something you should follow after, because it's going to lead to a bad ending. It's not what it seems to be. You may think that by doing a certain thing, taking a certain job, you can be successful and you're empowered, but you may not be capable of doing it. And you may think you can, but then find out that you can't, and was empowered by his folly. And you're following your folly, which leads to nothing. But I am as a fruitful olive tree in the house of God. And this is the sacred one, the righteous, just one. I am as a fruitful olive tree in the house of God. Now, I'm not exactly sure when thinking of a fruitful olive tree being in the house of God, but that's what it says. Now, I love olives. I have Kalamata olives. Love them so much I broke 2 teeth at one time, crunching down on the seed that wasn't taken out. Then there's those black, juicy olives are really good, and the olives are used for oil also, and possibly the oil, well, not possibly, it was used for the oil, burning the lamps and anointing. Now, maybe it's talking about I am as a fruitful, whatever comes from the olive tree that's used in the house of God. I hoped upon the mercy of God into the eon, and into the eon of the eon. And we, the just ones, will be going into the eon of the eon with God, and his mercy will bring us to it, because we don't deserve in our sin to be with God. But because of the ransoming by Jesus, we will be there. And he says, I will make acknowledgement to you into the eon. Now, exactly how he's going to do that, possibly the people that are taking the New Jerusalem will be able to contact the people that are on the earth at the, which I consider Mount Meron. And there talks about outside in the ones in Mount Meron with the prince. And there also will be evil people, because we know after the 1,000 years they come back, Satan is released. And when it mentions that in the New Jerusalem that the outside are the thieves and so forth, I forgot exact words, but it's in the 21st the 21st chapter of Revelation. And so we may be called upon to go and tell the people of the earth of the things of God. That would be righteous. I'd love to do that to the people that have ignored him and didn't want anything to do with him, made fun of us. Then we may be chosen to make acknowledgement to you and to the eon, and make acknowledgement to someone. For you acted. God did. He was real. And these people don't think he's real, but they will find out. And I will wait on your name. And the name, of course, we have is Jesus, the only name by which we must be delivered. For you are gracious before your sacred ones. And gracious is giving somebody gifts, and because you have the money and the gifts to give to people. And that is something that I want to make a postscript here at the end of this Psalm 52, and that is that someone was gracious to Apostolic Bible Polyglot and to me by sending 3 envelopes without a return address, and inside was a gift, and I received all 3 of these envelopes with the donations. I just wanted to, whoever out there did send them, to let you know that it is very appreciated, and you're gracious as God is also gracious, and it will be used for a good purpose. Psalm 53, the next video seminar, there is not one doing good. Now, that has been misused, I believe. We'll find out in chapter 53 more about that subject, the one not doing good. Hope you join us, continue. Till then, God bless.